And that really sets it up nicely for what is to follow. That is the first panel discussion of the day. Now, it's time for the topic, Empowering Frontline Teams, Strategies for Exceptional Customer Service. So let's explore how organizations can harness the human touch in customer interactions to deliver outstanding experiences. So without any further ado, we'd invite the moderator and the panelists for the session. We've got Mr. Vivek Anand, Director, Strategic Industries, SAP CX, SAP India. We'd request him to please come up. Mr. Vivek Anand. Ms. Anjali Dutta, Head of Digital Studio, Tech Mahindra. Mr. Karunn Kandoi, Chief Experience Officer, ApplyBoard. We can barely hear it. Mr. Ravissh Soni, Vice President, Fareportal. Mr. Shashi Ranjan, Head of Customer Experience, Dr. Lal, PathLabs. Mr. Nitin Dhingra, Chief Digital Officer and Vice President, Hindware Limited. Ms. Kanika Asija, AGM, HOG, Customer Experience Management, Tatapower-DDL. Ms. Priyaah Sundaraam, VP, Head of Customer Experience and Fulfillment, ClearTrip. As Ms. Priyaah Sundaraam joins us, we'd also request Mandavi Sharma, Chief Operating Officer, JindalX, to please come up. So who do I hand over the mic to? So yeah, we're now joined by the moderator as well. We didn't hear it for him earlier, so let's have a round of applause.
How do you balance the advent of technology as well as, the human touch that they have to provide? So maybe, Mandavi, you can start and you can also give 1-2 liners about, the special area of JindalX that you are in. What is the business and how do you see this technology and the human touch merging?
Of course. So my name is Mandavi Sharma and I am the Chief Operating Officer at JindalX. We are a full-service BPM company with clients both in India and overseas. And I've been deeply in the CX space for over 20 years. And as Chief Operating Officer, responsible for the overall service delivery for all of our client partners. So your question is balance, right? And just like the previous two speakers, talked about quite deeply, there is so much change that we have seen on the CX side over the last 20 years, right? And continuing till now rapidly. There's so much change and disruption, right? Through generative AI, conversational AI, virtual assist chatbots, the works, right? So technology enablers are changing the way we look at customer service and customer experience constantly. Through all of that change, however, there is something that remains constant, and that's never going to change, which is the human part of it, right? We know that, if Pareto's law, 80-20, right? 80% of interactions with our customers are based on 20% scenarios or issue types, the reasons that they're reaching out to us. Those repetitive areas are going to get digitized, automated, and are already. Look at Klarna, what they did, just the news that came out last month. That 70% of their service has been automated in 1 month with the implementation of their open AI partnership. So we know this is happening already in front of us. It's not even a future thing anymore. But what that means is that the remaining 20% of the interactions that we're going to be having with our customers as companies, as brands, are going to be so critical, because then those are the customers that are reaching out for non-transactional matters. I'd like to say they're the ones that need the most help. They're the ones that are most upset. And as customers, human beings, what they want, as any human being wants, is to be acknowledged, to be seen, to be heard. And how we approach that as a brand, as a company, is going to be so critical. And those are the areas where we most need to empower our frontline staff, because these are not transactional, typical things anymore that need to be handled.
Thank you so much. Very beautifully said, and you triggered something in my head right now. I was reading a book the other day, and it was all about branding, right? So, branding and brand is not about product, and it's not about the end product. It's completely different. It's about a perception, sentiments, right, and so forth. So, if we consider that as a very important aspect, that whatever we are talking about technology coming in is actually enabling us, giving us some tools and methods to make experience still matter, right? And the human factor, because even today we are humans buying from humans, right? The technology has to be invisible to make that happen for us seamlessly. So in all the touch points that the customer makes, right, we need to ensure that the human touch and human sentiments are introduced through those technology gateways, right? That was the point I wanted to add. Thanks, my friend, for igniting that thought.
Next question that comes to my mind is, I was talking to you guys. So the other thing that very well, I think, has gone tectonic shift, as Anand was also mentioning during the pandemic. What happened is, one other thing that we've forgotten now, the new word, which came back. The other thing that came back was this vindictive travel. That people, those who had not been able to travel for 2 years, or that whole period, I think suddenly there's a huge surge in every house that everybody wants to travel. I want to take that question to actually Priyaah and Ravissh also, because you hear that industry. So in travel also, there's been a huge change in the last few years. It had always been the center of customer service. We all from the hospitality and the travel industry, how customers have to be traveled. So I just want to know, how do you measure, from the frontline people, how do you measure the success that, the frontline people are actually delivering a good customer service? So what are the measures that can be taken by others also? Other learning.
Thanks, Vivek. And you asked this about travel, and that too, revenge travel at the right time. Today, when ClearTrip launches Novak, which is nation on vacation sale, so please download ClearTrip mobile app, start booking. I think that you'll get best deals right now. Coming to your question, here is what I would say, and sitting here, everyone has seen the wave of COVID and customer experience and what to measure, and more we are getting closer to the customer right now, correct? So there could be multiple metrics as to what you're chasing. For example, at the call center level, I'll be measuring customer experience score. That means, is the customer happy? Yes, he is very happy. He has given a 5 on 5 probably in all the 10 calls. But the next matrix that I want to really ask is, why is the customer calling? Is my calls to booking ratio looking healthy, or should it be even there? So In fact, 25 years I've worked with so many companies and all the brands that stands out like Indigo, Hyatt Hotels, Trident, talk about it, and we keep measuring why is in the first place, why is the customer first calling? Can't we empower the customer by giving him a self-serve so that the customer can do it by himself on app, and in case there's a need, come and speak to us. Net Promoter Score is one of my favorite ones. I would say that talks about how well or how healthy the brand is, how loved the brand is by the customer. At experience level, there are very many to talk about. Calls per booking, cost per booking, then first call resolution, number of complaints per flying customers or booking customers could be one. Every time you implement a strategy, you need to have the end goal very sharply carved out and said, what are we going to target? What are we trying to reduce here or improve here? Like I said, CSAT may be fantastic. That means the call center is performing very well. But in the first place, in today's time, who wants to call someone? You know, can't we just make a wow experience on the app itself and give an exemplary experience there? So that's where I think every time our goalpost keeps moving. But in my head, I would say everything is measurable, depends on what you want to look at, including employee happiness or how are we retaining our customer. Customer retention is one of the biggest metrics. So today in ClearTrip also, if every customer calls and if I have given a token of apology to the customer, I'm also measuring, is that customer coming back to us or not? That means some lever may have gone wrong if the customer is not coming back to us. Either we have not apologized enough or we have not done enough service to the customer that he hasn't turned back. So pick and choose metrics very, very mindfully, I would say. And any of us would have heard these words like OKRs and building the tech stack which supports customer. But yes, human intervention is extremely important, and we can always have these metrics running and measure. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. So a lot of metrics you're measuring. Summarize. I'll need a generative AI to actually see all the metrics. But I think the point that you're making is that we have to go deep down, look at the nuances, and there are a lot of things to be measured. It's not just one simple thing. Though they can be big NPS kind of thing that we measure, but we go down deep into the deep aspects and specifically measure those things. So I hope there are technology tools that help you do that, while the human touch is required, and it will be required till humanity exists. I hope so. So coming to you, Kanika, your industry, which was taken as an industry, utilities, is something which is, I won't say very disruptive kind of industry. We all wanted, the power to be working all the time. We didn't want a disruption in that. And but over, I think last few years, there has been a tectonic shift from the point of view, like everybody's talking about the expectation. As even Anil was talking about, the customer experience is changing because of a lot of things. So people who are interacting with Amazon or something. So I just wanted to check with you, Kanika, in utilities industry, what do you see as something where again technology would be playing a part, and you feel that humans still required to be doing the cutting edge thing?
In this world of social media, of course, everything, technology is very much important, and we have chatbots, we have self-service, self-serve chaos for customers, duly integrated with SAP CRMs and all that websites. And plus we have a few things we have launched during Corona times also with respect to, like we have gone online for our new connections, of course, because of the Corona issues. And then customers are feeling concerns. So we have a virtual hearing cell for them where they can connect with our employee. Of course, our team also got down during those days. So we went completely virtual. So we opened a virtual customer care center. Then there are few set of customers who are not tech savvy. Then what we did, we placed new connections, Sahika. We developed few teams and we placed them at our customer care centers. That has really helped us. And customers also, of course. Plus, we have customer engagements, which our front teams do. A lot of customer engagements, approx 8 to 10 we do. Few at our offices, few in customers' vicinity, like we do green zones in customers' apartment. We go there, create awareness on the online services, our app, and digitalization. How can they use our app and do things at from their home? We have synergy sessions which we do for school kids. We go in the schools, take sessions there, tell them, because kids know more better our mobile than us. उन्हें एक दिन में पता चल जाता है कि क्या क्या कहाँ से हो रहा है. So then we touched upon the section of senior citizens. We do a program Samman, which we do in our customers vicinity only through our front end teams, and of course the agenda is same, creating awareness on the online services, energy efficient products, so that they can better utilize them. So in this way, at TPDDL we ensure human touch throughout the customer life cycle with us. Like in new connection, we have new connection, Saika and virtual hearing sales. For billing, we are coming up with the braille bill for our PWD customers. And for payment and all, we have quick links we have started through a benchmarking, in which if customer is coming to us, any walk-in regarding any query, like he wants कि payment कैसे करना है, so we help them with कि आप यहाँ जाइए app में इधर से आप you can go through this thing. But we share a link with them on SMS and WhatsApp also. Thanks to Make My Trip, this idea came to us, because if we search any destination, Make My Trip is after us. तब तक आप जाएंगे नहीं. They give us so many packages, so we converted this idea into quick links at our end. So in this way, we are ensuring the customer human touch. So
Fantastic, fantastic. So many initiatives being taken by Tatapower. That's very commendable, and so many of them actually going to the people and actually educating them is really commendable. That actually bridges. So I don't know whether I should come to you at this thing, but Anjali, okay, let's bring it here. So Anjali, as head of digital for Tech Mahindra, how important is the well-being of the frontline employees? How do you see that can actually result in customer satisfaction? So, is there a correlation you've seen? Anything you've done in that area?
It's working, right? Yeah. That's a great question. Thanks for asking it. And I represent obviously a service industry, right? And we are the ones which are designing their experiences for end customers at the end of the day, right? See, when we are designing anything, any product, maybe a mobile application or website or anything, right? You are actually injecting sentiments into that as well, right? If the people designing, ideating, creating, developing are not connected with the vision and the purpose of the organization and of the brand, you will not pass that sentiment, right? So employee experience is a very, very critical part of it. And happy, the designer or a developer and all what we talk about result into a happy product and a happy the customer at the end of the day, right? So yes, it is very, very important. Now, second part of your question is, what are the things that we are doing? I have this interesting tagline that I keep talking about, come and play fearlessly, right? What does that mean? That means no matter who you are, right? What you know, what you don't know, come and just give yourself a chance, so that you can put your thinking onto practicality, right? And see what returns and what output you get out of it. That kind of, open environment, if we can give to our employees, they will feel much more motivated, right? And the product that they will ideate or design or, eventually make is something that people will cherish and remember forever. Going back to the statement that I was making, right? People remember brands, they don't remember products, right? And that's the sentiment we have to carry, and that only can come from the happy designers and happy developers, right? Does that answer the question?
That's very interesting what you said, and something that came to my mind was in a couple of organizations that I've worked with. One was that, for an employee, how can I be the hero for the day? Now, this was something that, I used to drive in one of the insurance company that I was working for. and we were into a outsourcing business, and we were taking inbound calls for customers who have bought property insurance and motor insurance, and they've met an accident on the roadside, and then so one thing that we inculcated in our frontline people was that you can be the hero for that day by helping that customer out, understanding what the customer is going through. I mean, a typical nature would be that, you met with an accident and he would go with the script and ask. But before going to the script itself, you can ask, how are you feeling? Has the medical assistance been provided or not? That will help the customer resonate with the brand more. That's what she said, So that's the important part. So I think that passion and that creating that employee feel that I can be the hero for that day will inculcate that, belongingness of the customer also in getting to that brand, So that's what I say.
Yeah, and just one small thing that I want to add, right? Thank you for just emphasizing, because ultimately, what are we talking about? We are talking about people being happy. If they are happy designing it, the people using it will be happy, and it's all about one very important stuff called empathy. Are we empathetic, right? If we are empathetic, right, then everything will actually marry, and we can bring smile to people's face, and that's very, very important, regardless of which channel you are using to actually communicate to your end customer. It can be a phone call the person makes, an email the person writes, right? Or he goes to a store and meet your agent or the person there, or you're using mobile application or a website for that matter. All of these channels need to communicate something very critical called empathy. And that's what we need to educate our AI automation engines and robots, right? To be empathetic, right? And that's where my friend was talking about, knowledge-based AI, conversational AI, right, emotional AI and all that. We are trying to make machines behave like humans and serve humans. And I'll end my citation that machines, robots, humans, and all automation need to live in harmony together. And we are the designers, we are the smart people behind everything that we are using today. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Anjali. Okay, Vivek, Karunn, the thing that comes to mind about ApplyBoard is that you are the bridge between so many students here who wants to do, quality education, and you have connections with about 1,500 universities. So this was a very, this was an industry where, everybody who has their children, were looking to get connected to, people like you. But there has been disruption. There has been, even in the education industry, we have seen that now, there is, maybe if I can use the word, drop in the number of people interested in going to Canada for some reason. Suddenly, the new areas, new places have come, new courses are coming, AI, etc., which are the courses, which new students want, or maybe liberal arts is something that they want. So what do you see, the frontline frontline employees playing the role and providing this important information to the parents or to the students? So how have you seen this change?
No, thank you, Vivek. So first of all, we are a platform. And as a platform, it's our responsibility that we move with the cheese. Like if the students are moving more towards Canada, different programs, different like other destinations, or let's say there is a shift of students from Africa trying to go to UK more than Indian students trying to go to UK. And it also depends on the visa policies and the preferences of the governments that comes into the play. So how that changes a customer experience, so to speak, and that's not, I think, limited to our own industry, but I think it's a global phenomenon. I think in last 20-25 years, we have evolved from customer operations to support to experience. But now I think the time has come when the front line will solve any problem only once. And after that, tech automation will take over and will solve those problems for the customers. As much as we want people to speak to us, send us email, or people say that they want to, but the behavior is customers are moving towards self-serve. No matter what, like I have not sent an email or I have not spoken to a customer support executive for a long time. It's usually done through the app. So where is the customer actually interacting with the person when there is an exception or when there is a problem? So now the kind of people that we need are actually problem solvers, and champions of solving a problem versus a typical someone who can, of course, we need people who can have fluent English and speak well and all of those things. But end of the day, can they see a unique problem, provide a solution, and as an organization, have we empowered them enough with their decision-making capabilities and with the tech and product that they need? I think this is fundamental for us to establish to be successful in, I think, arguably the most dynamic industry, which is controlled by a lot of global factors. A sneeze by the PM of India can have an impact on India-Canada corridor and can impact our volumes quite significantly. So that's my take on it. Thank you, Vivek.
Thank you, Karunn. That's really good. I don't know if I can come to Shashi or Ravissh, but maybe Shashi, I'll just come to you after Ravissh. So the other aspect of, Priya was talking about some aspects of the measurement that, we do in travel industry. I would want to check with you on a side conversation we were having earlier, that as Fareportal, you saw that the pandemic, period was something where even airline industry did some things, and how that has changed your, strategy or your things post-pandemic, from the number of people that were there and now what you're focusing. So can you throw some light, Ravissh, on that?
Yeah.
With the objective of, what happened on the frontline people.
Yeah. So I think, during the pandemic when it was there, so we are a contact center and a product company. On the contact center side, we saw that, we were bombarded with calls at that time, and we were not able to handle those many calls. And then on the chat side or the email side, we were not able to manage that situation because nobody was prepared for that, It was a situation which was uncalled for. So we realized that, at that time, what is it that we need to do? I mean, in terms of empowering our frontline people, in terms of handling, would they handle all kind of queries or would they handle just simple, complex scenarios? And at that time, we started investing in the self-service, and I think many of us have spoken about it. So we were around 3,600 people or company, and the mandate was that we'll not lay off at that time, and we'll absorb everybody, right? But we'll use technology and AI in a way that, we'll enable customers, we'll provide them, so we are one of the OTAs who publish their numbers on the website. So not every OTA will publish their number on all the pages that you go. So what we say is that, if you get stuck, there's a human touch. So that's the way we are structured, So then we heavily invested on our self-help tool, where we said, and we segmented the customers into two different categories, where one was the millennial part, who would not like to call, they would just like to interact. So we heavily invested on the app side. We said, our digitization and every part would be on the app side for this part of this segment of the customer. And where the senior citizen or the other people that would say, they would, if they want to call us, they can call us on the contact center part. But on the contact center part also, we said that, if you need simple vanilla services that can be catered from the IVR itself, that would be taken care of. And only the complex scenarios where, the AI or the technology will not be able to help. And that would say, I would say it's only 30 to 40% of the stuff. The rest 60% I would say is all digitized, and, we will take care of that way.
Yeah, great, thank you. There are a couple of thoughts that actually came to my mind, right? I was, you mentioned about how people are changing, right? How way we interact and how we, report our complaints, right? I was talking to my mother a couple of days ago, and then she was having some standard, issues. And I said, okay, Mom, you call the call center. I said, excuse me, no, I will not. I will now figure it out on Google and then figure out a solution to the problem that I have. Right? Or I will send a message through the different methods, as she was saying, right? Through phones. So people are changing, right? Everybody, no matter who you are, right? Which age group you fall into, people are quickly changing. They're becoming very independent. While that is happening, right? We have two major issues. Our customers are changing. We all know that. People at the back must be wondering, why is Anjali repeating the same thing again? What that holds to us when we are the designers of these, solutions. There is a natural rejection that we would have to any change, right? Underlining thing that we are saying indirectly and directly is the digital transformation, right? People don't want to change
when I have to change and come up with a new solution, I have a lot of barriers. But if you bring me in and make me an important player in this entire change ecosystem, I'll be a supporter of any change. You got it? So that is what I'm trying to highlight. Our agents, our team members, right, are the designers of the future solution. They might be having some mental barriers. They're not able to see the future. If I can motivate them and bring them on board and appreciate them, then the change becomes much more easier and smarter. Going back to the question, how are we empowering our own people, right? So that they can actually bring value to the ultimate customer happiness and customer delight that we are talking about. There are ideas in terms of thought leaderships, right? We can have them come up, give ideas, right? Everybody today is scared of AI. Will AI come and take our jobs away? But AI is not an enemy, right? AI was always existing as our friends were talking about it. Can I learn it? Can I use those tools for my advantage? Is what the knowledge we need to bring on board and tell people that if you adopt it, you'll be rewarded, you'll be appreciated, and etc. That way the change becomes normal. So I just wanted to add that point. Yeah, thanks.
Great. Thanks. And Shashi, coming to you, when we think of Dr. Lal PathLabs, the first thing that comes to mind is that it was an industry disruptor. It brought, the other company that comes to mind is Eureka Forbes, which used to come directly to your home. And this is the other name that, it's now very well embedded that they are the people who will come to home. The direct to consumer in the best possible way we can think of is, Dr. Lal PathLabs. So it was not just about, technology that you use extensively. It is also about the culture that you have built, of this going directly to the consumer and also enabling a lot of things on self-service. So can you throw some light on this part, that how you build this culture and how you take this culture forward in your company of the frontline guys using technology, self-service, etc.
Thanks, Vivek, for the kind words.
Yeah.
So I come from an industry which is in the market for the last 7 decades, a long time. We have seen a lot of changes starting from the traditional way of dealing with the consumers, then moving to the technology side of it. Then the pandemic came, where a lot of demand was there. There was a lot of services which were required from the customer side. And the resources were not infinite, very limited resources. And that's where the entire shift happened from a self-service point of view. We started with a lot of services on chatbot, voice bot, self-service in terms of the mobile application or a website where a consumer can go through these self-service options and get the resolution there. Having worked in various industries, one change which I see in healthcare is we deal with a lot of emotions, and the emotions of not only with the end customer but also family members, the caregiver. So while providing the service, it is very important that it has to be very uniform at all touch points. The person who is doing the booking or dealing with the customer care might be a different person from the person who is actually using these services at home. So to ensure that we provide that uniform solution across all touch points, that's where the technology comes in play. While technology has helped us in terms of managing all the mundane tasks, providing the proactive information, a lot of complex and where the human expertise is required comes to our contact center. And that's where the role of providing the training, upskilling our resources is very important. And what we are seeing is technology is also playing very good role there in terms of providing the knowledge base, decision tree, where they can immediately come up with a solution and give it to the customer. At the same time, our services, I just heard about the Copilot. The services like Copilot is going to be a very game changer. It will not only provide the solution, it will also enhance the overall productivity. So the point which I mentioned that the resources are not infinite, that's something which is going to solve via Copilot kind of an option. So we are looking forward to the technology, we are adopting it, and the pace at which we are adopting is very fast. So I think that is something which is going to be a very key differentiator for a brand like us. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. I was coming to you only, Mandavi, because in healthcare you are the other side of this thing. But please add on to what you were thinking on this.
Yeah, thank you for that. I wanted to touch upon what my friend just talked about in terms of training, upskilling, right? And what Anjali said earlier really relates back to that. We was talking about empathy, right? And you were specifically talking about empathy to the with the customer, right? Empathizing with whatever they're going through, the sentiment, the emotion, right? I actually want to look at it the other side, the empathy towards the employee. So let's talk about this agent, right? Now, they're sitting there for 8 hours in front of their computer, and it's a very repetitive task that they're doing day in and day out. It can be, there's a lot of burnout. So let's talk about empathy towards them, right? How are we keeping them centered? How are we keeping them engaged towards, the job at hand? How is it that they can treat each transaction or each interaction and be in the moment with that and be able to generate enough empathy towards that customer, right? There's a lot of talk around that, and how do we bring in technology to be able to do that? Because it's a hard job, let's be honest. This is it's drudgery after a while for them, right? So technology has come in there as well, right? We're talking about gamification, micro e-learning, hybrid learning and development programs, along with the assistants, how to keep them engaged. This is a big aspect that all of us in the industry have to be mindful of and solve for. Otherwise, this is, no matter what assistance we provide them, and the decision trees and the knowledge banks, the virtual assists, at the end of the day, it's one human interacting with another human, and how do we keep that agent centered in that moment, provide them enough input, enough engagement to be able to do that. That's very important.
Thank you for raising, because there are two parts with, as you rightly said, we are empathetic when we are designing for the end customer, and we have to be, when I am designing for somebody, I have to be empathetic, and somebody has to be empathetic towards me as well, right? That's very, very, very important aspect, as we talked about employee experience, right? Happy designer, happy consultant, happy agent results to a happy customer eventually. And I really respect what you're saying, my lovely friend, is that technology can do something, right? But not everything. We can't, as a leaders, escape from our own jobs, right? That I don't have to take care of my people, technology would do that. I'm talking about, I am coming from an IT industry, and my job is to create, tools, right? Platforms. So one, my friend was also talking about those tools and platforms, right, need to have gamification, all fun activities, right, very intuitive. You get me, you get the answers of your question, and that's it. That's fine, but we still need humans, right? We still need sentiments, right? Somebody need to be just heard. Can you hear me for a minute? All that comes from humans, right? We are talking about employee experience, and people say, okay, there are a lot of chatbots I can introduce. It will be powered by automation, predictive analysis. I would know who Anjali is and what she would need today. A prompt will come in. Over-prompting is irritating. I will not like it, right? But appropriate communication at appropriate time is what I would appreciate. So again, going back to what I just stated, we are using technology as an escape route of my own role as a leader. I need to ensure I use that, and I use my leadership skills to talk to my people and motivate them, right? There are a lot of methods available. We need to be listening them, telling them what the future is, and then get them, feel connected, feel heard, and feel appreciated. That no technology can replace that. We don't need robots to be doing that. We need humans to continue to own that responsibility. Yeah, that's I completely support your point, because that's where we completely are missing, right? Yeah, sure, please, thanks.
I agree that empathy and human empowerment is important, but literally the cars are being driving themselves, and there's so much automation happening, and I think as leaders of customer experience, if we are not automating as much as possible, and to me, any human intervention is an error. I firmly believe that. And until and unless we start to think about it, I know it comes from empathy. Like I have a large team, not that I'm proud of that large word. I rather have a more effective team. And we come from that empathy, yes, this is going to be, but we're going to be reinvented if we don't think about it. And I think that thought has to balance with the empathy and the empowerment of our people and not alone.
I just want to add, Karunn, coming to your field, where it's children, whose careers and all will be shaped. You feel that automation needs to be brought in more and more. Technology needs to be leveraged more and more. I think last year, this thing, generative AI, which brought in, it just nudged us from the edge. Till that time, we were thinking of that automations are bringing a lot of efficiency. They are doing this thing, but we still felt that we could write poems, right? We felt technology wo nahi kar payegi. We will still require humans to write poems, humans to write story. But now that field is also going away. So automation is technology is going to creep in every aspect and everything. I think Anil's slide, which was showing, the technology getting in and now everywhere. So that is a reality. But with that reality, we are humans. We humans are also customers. We humans are also agents. I think there has to be factor of everything. We need heroes of the day, within our organization, and we need to make customers feel like the kings. With that, I think I'll, maybe if there is any question in the audience, yes, we can take that. And otherwise, yeah, we can take maybe one or two questions.
Thank you. Lovely hearing all of you, and I personally know some of the people sitting in the panel very well. We were talking about empathy, and this question is based on every pointer that you touched, integrated to generative AI, which got introduced towards the end of the discussion. The question is, we are talking about empathy for frontline workers. Compare this with inducing empathy in the contact center self-service system. How do you see the future of a human being empathetic towards the customer conversations and the technology improving on a continuous basis from an empathy perspective to address customer questions on the contact center? That's a basic question. The scenario that I'm trying to hint with that question is to collect your thoughts. Would there ever be a time when I am a caller to a banking call center and I'm unable to differentiate whether I'm being self-served or I'm being served by a human on the other hand? That's a question. Understanding how far we are in that future. Is that future even possible? And how does empathy in the way we work or service, as Anjali was highlighting, how can that empathy lead to this particular scenario in future, if at all it can lead? That's a question. Thank you so much.
We don't have to forget that all these automation tools and platforms are actually designed by humans, right? We are there. So what you just mentioned, the scenario when somebody would get a solution to a problem through a call that somebody made, is that done by a human or a machine? That will get completely blurred as we proceed. Because we are talking about behavioral sciences coming in, we are making machines much more smart, much more intelligent to understand how humans behave, giving a particular scenario. And humans are giving that information. You and me, the way we behave, the way we act, are the inputs to this particular, all the automation tools that we are talking about, right? Because we are the data sets. With that, they will have to analyze and give the output. The answer to your question, yes, definitely, that time would come. We are using generative AI to actually bring proper voice and tonality onto the conversation, right? And there are a lot of conversation concepts that humans actually learn to talk to another human, we will make machine learn that very quickly. But again, we have to be very conscious while we are feeding into the system our biasness. Machine will learn our biasness because it is all based on the data set. So we have to be very ethical and logical in terms of how we construct. I hope that answers the question, friend. Thanks. Yeah. Anybody?
I just wanted to pick up the first part that he mentioned that, then there will be always be a balance to it. You can't think of a scenario where you say everything is AI or GI, no. It cannot be. And there can be different school of thoughts. But what I personally believe or think is that in certain complex scenarios, you would need that human touch. A simple example is from a travel industry. Now the passenger is stuck at the airport. He has a flight in 2 hours. Now as a customer, would I prefer going through that AI, GI tool, or would I want to speak to a human voice who can help me out? Or if there is a medical condition at the airport, would I, go back and see that, do I use a chat bot or a social media? No, I would need somebody. So there would be certain scenarios where you would need that human touch, but the vanilla kind of stuff, I think that would be taken care of with the automation part.
So with that, I think we'll end. This was a great session. I know a lot of ideas still in your mind you want to share, but we'll take it offline. And thanks for a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Well, the lines are constantly blurring, and thank you so much for that comprehensive discussion on the topic. We'd of course present our token of appreciation to you for honoring us with your presence first and then also facilitating the conversation. So starting with the moderator, Mr. Vivek Anand. And now with you having taken over, we'd request you to present the rest of the mementos. So we have Ms. Anjali Dutta, Mr. Karunn Kandoi, Mr. Ravissh Soni, Mr. Shashi Ranjan, Mr. Nitin Dhingra, Ms. Kanika Asija, Ms. Priyaah Sundaraam, and Ms. Mandavi Sharma. So can we have a team picture here before you leave the stage? And well, the applause has been really feeble, so maybe when they're all together posing, let's hear a roar.